the founder and editor-in-chief of the Adroit Journal. I'm thrilled to be hosting four of our recent contributors this afternoon, Joseph Fasano, Laura Romaine, Keegan Lester, and Jean Ann Burley, here at the New York City Poetry Festival. For those of you who may not know, the Adroit Journal is a quarterly online publication staffed by emerging writers aged 14 to 25 from around the world. And at its foundation, the journal really seeks to showcase what we see as the future of poetry, prose, and art. Our first reader this afternoon will be Joseph Fasano. Joseph Fasano's most recent book is Vincent, from Cider Press in 2015, a long poem based loosely on the killing of Tim McLean by Vince Lee. His two collections of poems are Fugue for Other Hands, 2013, winner of the Cider Press Review Book Award and Poets Prize nominee, and Inheritance in 2014. His poems have appeared in the Yale Review, the Southern Review, Boston Review, Tin House, Field, the Times Literary Supplement, Passages North, Measure, and other publications. A winner of the Rattle Poetry Prize, among other honors, he has been featured in the Academy of American Poets Poem a Day program, the Penn Poetry Series, and Verse Daily. He teaches at Columbia University and Manhattanville College, and his poem Benediction appears in our current issue. Please welcome Joseph.
Well, thanks, Peter. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Can you hear me all right? Yeah? Thanks again to Peter for putting together a really amazing project with the Adroit Journal, which is just wonderful and wowing everybody. I'm just going to read a few poems. I'm not going to read from any of the books that Peter mentioned. I hope you do. But I'm just going to read 3 or 4 new poems. This first poem is called Testimony. If tonight the moon should arrive like a lost guide, crossing the fields with a bitter lantern in her hand, her irides blind, her dresses wild, lie down and listen to her find you. Lie down and listen to the body become the promise of no other, the sleeper in the garden in its own arms, the exile in its own autumnal house. You have woken, but no one has woken. You are changed, but the light of change is bitter. The changing is the threshold into winter. Traveler, rememberer, sleeper, tonight as you slumber where the dead are, if the moon's hands should discover you through fire, lie down and listen to her hold you. The moon who has been away so long now, the lost moon with her silver lips and whisper, her body half in winter, half in wool. Look at her. Look at her, that drifter, and if nothing comes to know you, if no song comes to prove it isn't over, tell yourself in the moon's arms, she is no one. Tell yourself, as you lose love, it is after, that you alone are the bearer in that changed place. You alone who have woken and have opened. You alone who can so love what you are now and the vanishing that carries it away. This is a poem called Americana. Thank you. Thank you. This is a poem called Americana. You say your end will come in fire. I say I have slipped into your morning song, the way a boyish horseman sinks his heels into the stirrups and rides out among the thistle and the briar forever. I say your soul will keep its silences like the gray at the temples of a fallen child soldier, a woman stooping down to touch his collar in another war. America, you are just so many children's orchestras. The boy who shot his heart out on Delta blues and whiskey, then kicked up his worn boots on the northbound till his family had to barrel burn all his letters. Then he lay down in those wolfish woods in snow. Somewhere in this city, the moon is sewn into his sheets to lose his liquor. Somewhere a woman is blowing incense into the wild child's singing lips to cleanse them. When she lies down, she is all the roads of her country. buck blood like the new moon on the switchbacks, and every blessed drifter drifting through. Come now, it is after, it is winter. You say that your voice can pierce the seasons like an assassin's spur as it fumbles on the bunting, his cowlick slicked in moonlight in the dark barn. You say there are days left for the flames. Do you want a story? That winter, my wife curled in her fever. I couldn't think of anything to do for her, so I crawled into the machinery where it hummed to her, where I thought I'd sing her the final bars of some forgotten song, combing out the day's salt from her hair. It was after, it was darker, it was winter. And though the music of her ruin filled my life then, though I listened and I listened and I listened, I drove off through the wreckage of that valley, and I lay down over sycamore and cedar, the feathers of the night birds on my body, canadensis, common starling, plover. It was winter, it was darker, it was after. And slowly, because nothing comes to shroud it now, I hear the dark thing that her anguish came to whisper me. That wild prayer like the moonlight in these ruins, moonlight in the soft rage of its changes. Imagine it, awaking though no soul is near. Imagine it, having no one left to cradle you, no one still your own enough to go to you, to shoulder you, to hold you in the turning air, to stand between the wild night and your silences, and with all the fury ripening inside of you, with all that once was whole in you, unbroken, to bring you through your body's twisted briar toward the city and the stars that isn't there. And I'll just read one more, thank you, I'll just read one more short little poem, which is called Coda. Now I watch my father turn and walk out to the pastures where his mares are. Alone, he lets his hands drift over the deep chords in their bodies, closing his blind eyes to that music. The wind wades in dark boots from the orchard, steadying his shoulder through its hard time. Now he is listening for beginning. Now he is lying among that sinew, asking as a boy would where his song goes. But he knows, he knows, he knows. He knows as long as love runs, it is earth song. It is wild to be ridden in its irons to another world, this one. Thank you very much.